What's up guys, welcome back. Today's the day and we're gonna be swapping in the 1JZ into the IS. We're not gonna have as many hands as we normally do when it comes to motor swaps, but this is gonna be nice. It shouldn't be too difficult just because they are interchangeable, so I'm kind of seeing it as an R&R job, just a remove and replacement, but obviously there is some things that we're gonna have to modify and tweak. I think our main goal today is taking the 2J out, swapping the harness and all the accessories, and then putting the 1JZ inside the IS, and then all the other stuff, if we can't get to it today, we'll just do it tomorrow. We're gonna try to show you guys as much as we can how to do this without just straight being a tutorial because we don't wanna make it boring. I'm gonna have two non-running cars. This is gonna be great. But shout out to Carlo for letting me borrow his Highlander. I was gonna borrow Steph's Miata, but I feel like it's just gonna be way too uncomfortable for me. I've never pulled a JZ out of an IS, but from what I've seen, a lot of people like to pull the motor with the trans. And to do that, you obviously have to take off the radiator, all the accessories, cats, drive shaft, fuel lines, remove the connectors from the ECU. So let's see how far we get. Now that I have this out, I just have to find space to wrap it around the engine, so when we pull it out, it's ready to go. But everything else stays in place. I'm going to be retaining this factory box so I can put the standalone in here, and I feel like it's just gonna be an overall cleaner look. Give you guys a better look of what we're working with. You can see how much space is already right here. So I don't think we're gonna run into too many issues pulling it out with the trans, because the trans isn't that big to begin with. But you can see this ABS unit, how it can be such a pain in the ass when you have the turbo sitting right here. Luckily, we have Steph here to help us.
Where's your man?
He's not gonna be helping us today. He's at work, he's working.
Yeah, but his car's out there.
What car?
Oh.
Quick release bumper, baby. Our little trans jack, Martin's using it to lift up the trans. He's gonna remove the trans mount, and then once we start lifting the engine up, he's gonna start lowering it so we can just slowly bring it out. Home stretch, baby.
Or just do the short 14.
Okay, we didn't leave too much damage except for this piece. I don't know, we're gonna have to bend it back.
That's fine.
The latch, but this is how an IS300 engine bay looks without a motor in there. We'll just have to test it with the hood.
See what happens when we get there.
Fine. But we're gonna be putting that baby in right here. Let's go. So I guess right now what we're gonna be doing is going to get food. Going to the auto parts store, picking up some things, but we'll come back and we'll actually be swapping over the harness. The only thing with that is that we're probably gonna have to label a couple things because I don't know where everything's gonna go, and that's where the fun part begins. But one of the hardest parts is done. We got the motor out.
Congratulations.
Putting it in is the hard part.
Putting it in is easy. Getting it running, that's the hardest part. Most of the stuff's plug and play, right? You know, most of it bolts up. The trans, motor mounts are the same, starter's the same. The harness we're going to be reusing and just probably extending some things, making it work, and that's pretty much about it. Then next weekend we're going to be dropping it off to get the piping done. Both motors are right here side by side. I'm going to have to start transferring everything over from this motor to that motor, including the coil packs, the harness. I'm going to be swapping over the compressor and the alternator. I did have to take off the middle runner because this intake manifold is 3 pieces. Like I mentioned in a previous video, you're able to use these runners, get an adapter plate, and then put on the GTE intake manifold if you guys ever wanted to do that when you boost your NAT GE build. I'm gonna be starting to remove all the plastic pieces that run along the harness that hold it in place, because as you can see, we're gonna have to figure out how we're gonna be setting everything up. I don't necessarily think we're gonna have to extend too much wires, if any. I think it's just more of like opening up the harness figuring out what works, and then once that works, we're zip tying it, and then we go grab electrical tape and we just tape everything up. So I think that's gonna be like the longest process. Anything that we find that you guys should know when doing this, if you're swapping over a 2J harness on a 1J, we'll let you guys know. But other than that, we're just gonna be trying to get this thing done as quickly as possible. And most of the connectors I noticed when going back and forth, they're almost identical. I already have the coil packs. All in all, there's 4 things that need to be extended. The ECT sensor, which on GEs are on the block, but the company Panic, which I'm going for with my Link ECU, they already sell an extension and I actually ordered one, so I'll be waiting for that. The 3 other things are going to be this ground connector, this throttle connector, and this TPS connector right here. So all in all, there's 3 things. Obviously, there's other things that you can extend and make your way, but most connectors are all the same. The only connector that I see that is different is the ECT connector. That's the only one that I might have to repin. But other than that, most of the stuff plugs right in, and that's probably due to the fact that I'm using the GE alternator and AC compressor. So that's gonna be helping out a lot. The only reason why I'm going with the 1JZ power steering pump is because the kit that I ordered from Chase Bays only works with this pump unless I get an additional fitting, which I did not order. So I'm going to be test fitting it with Stephanie. And the reason for that is because we wanna see if we really need to relocate this ABS. Jeremiah stopped by to hop out for a little bit and he told me just test fit it in. We have all day tomorrow as well to start working on it and setting other things up. So I think that's what we're gonna be doing, just dropping it in, just the motor itself, because putting it in the trans is easy regardless, off or on the car. We'll be test fitting it, see if it fits, and see what adjustments we need to make. Because for the most part, it's all set up, and I'm super excited to drop it in. So let's get to it. Well, it's in. Obviously those brake lines need to go. I feel like just cutting them, like right at the end of the firewall, just so I could just take them out already. Whatever is dripping, brake fluid. Let me just tighten the bolts down a little bit, just kind of see how it's gonna look, and then go from there. Not too shabby, eh? I always say myself. You guys ready to see this masterpiece? Put the bumper on because it looks just so good with it. But this is just a test fit. It's like probably like another half a day worth of work to do to the motor. But I think the hardest parts are done. So you guys wanna see it? It's gonna be pretty sick.
Hell yeah.
Oof, baby. That looks crazy. That looks so good. It's a tighter fit than I thought though. I know on the turbo side there's so much room. I feel like I can move the motor to the passenger side just a little bit from the slots on the bottom. But just right here, kind of tight, but you can see that I can tilt the motor up and down. So I feel like that'll help things out a lot. I think this is where we're gonna be leaving off for today. I'm just glad that we were able to finally test fit it. We're gonna be cleaning up, so it's gonna be a long night, but we're gonna go grab some McDonald's or something because we're starving. But this is nice, like finally making progress. I'm still a little bit nervous because there's obviously still things that need to be done, right? Like I still need to work on a lot of stuff tomorrow. I have a full week till I drop off the motor to get the piping done, so even if I have to come after work and just start banging more shit out, that's fine. I think tomorrow we're probably going to be done though. We're gonna just be wiring up the wideband AFR, and honestly the battery in ABS lines, I'd rather wait till Jeremiah comes to kind of help me out with that, because I've used a flare tool once and I just don't want to mess up and have to keep cutting and cutting it. Hopefully that'll be like the hardest part of everything, and just so tight right here, like I mentioned earlier. I'm scared that it's gonna have a lot of issues with all the AC lines and the power steering lines, but I feel like we'll be fine. I still have the stock lines in there right now, so that's probably why it's being such a bitch. So once I pull those off, I feel like then I can start plumbing the new lines in and it should be fine. I guess I achieved what I wanted. So shout out to everyone that's been helping me out. It's gonna be pretty dope. We're definitely gonna have to make a second part of this video, which is going to be tomorrow. So on that note, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure to like, subscribe, and share. And we'll see you guys on the next one.
No one ever really dies. T threw a rag in the sky. She threw it back from the side. I was just losing my mind. You right here telling me love.